Hi, everybody. Welcome to another My Music, going out live on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter. So, hello to all of those different platforms. I'm here with Ammo. You've been here before. This is your second run-in with me, which is nice.
Right?
Second time around. How have you been since I last saw you?
Good. I think if I recall, I was living in a basement
You
in New
were.
York. Okay, yeah, that's how long it's been. Now I live above the apartment I was staying in, on the second floor. So I have my
You've
own
gone up in the world,
space.
literally.
Yeah.
That's good.
So yeah, so now I'm kind of getting settled in and still have nothing, on my walls here, obviously, but I have my things, so that's nice.
Yeah. Are you allowed to paint the walls? Are you allowed to decorate? Is that a thing that you're able to do, or is it restricted?
I don't know. They paint everything gray here. I don't know why. It's like the most hideous color. I would have preferred it to be white, but
Now
because it's
that's
so
interesting,
dark.
isn't it? It's interesting because just before we came on, I said it just feels like, especially that for me, it just feels like this year or last year coming into this year, this winter, that it's colder and it's darker than it has been before. And you were saying it feels like that every year. But how much why do people paint things grey, etc.? What do you feel people are trying to add to
The gloominess? I
the
don't know.
gloominess?
I just think it's comical because the apartment only has windows in the front and the back. And so the middle of the house is just like a cave. And they painted it gray when I don't know. I don't know the logic. I tried to get them to paint it white by request because I knew they
Yeah.
were going to do it gray, and they
I
just
mean,
didn't listen.
maybe it's because grey doesn't show the dirt quite so much as white. Maybe that's the logic of it. In the UK, for a long time, especially as I was growing up, everybody painted everything magnolia. Yeah, which is kind of a beige. It's just as bad, really. It's just as bad.
Yeah, I guess it's just like a warmer versus a colder. At least there's some warm tones
There are some
in
warm tones.
beige.
It depends which magnolia you go for, I suppose. I mean, that's the thing with paint. Paint's interesting, isn't it? Because again, when I was a lad, when you used to go and select paint to paint your walls with, there was a small selection of paints. Nowadays, you can get any color under the sun. It's almost like the variance is there, which is a bit bringing us round to the subject of music. It's a bit like music, really. There's everything under the sun available easily these days, in a way.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, what have you been listening to since I last saw you? What have you been listening to?
I always have just my staples. I brought my record collection with me when I moved across the US, and I just got a record player. So I was just listening to all my old records, like a lot of like 70s punk and some, Dead Can Dance and what else I got? And I don't know, just some New York stuff, television, Richard Hell. But I did come across some new stuff this year.
Cool.
I hadn't been buying records because I didn't have a record player at the time, and I have a pretty big collection. And so all of my online listening is, I don't know, it's like rambling. I'm just like trying to figure out like where I love listening to vinyl, but I'm trying to figure out how to balance that with like online stuff. Cause I know that the sound quality, in my opinion, if I listen to something on like Spotify, it's not like full, it's really compressed and just feels flat to me. So I like to go on Bandcamp and try to, obviously you only listen a few times and then you have to buy the album, which is fine. But it's great to have like a collection that way. Anyways, my point is I have a couple of albums I've been listening to.
Yeah, and what are those?
Online, yeah. Well, I made a list for what is it? The Rock Club. And they asked me to do like a top 10. So there's kind of like a mix of like a couple of death rock bands, some Russian post-punk, and some friends bands. I have a friend, Ryan, of this band called Last Wars. And I'm really impressed what he's been doing, kind of like dark wave-ish electronic, but very dark and catchy and moody, and I really like it.
Yeah.
And then the Liars came out with a new record, and it was really solid, super experimental, as he does. What else have I listened to? Oh, Annika came out with a second LP. So I was really excited about that. I think it's called Changes.
Yeah. Well, I've listened to the first LP quite a lot.
Oh yeah, I love that.
I didn't
record.
actually know.
It's so
I didn't
good.
actually know there was a second LP there. So that's you. Thank you for that.
You're welcome. It's
now,
really good.
now means I've got. Yeah, I'm gonna check that out.
Yeah.
But now you've been busy. You've written another bit of music, and is there other music that you've written since last I saw you, or is there other stuff already in the can, as it were, or is everything else in progress?
Well, I guess everything's always in progress. I released a new single, A Cold War City, in December.
Yep.
And then I'll be putting out a music video for that later this month, I believe. And then I have more songs ready for a record, which I'm hoping to release this year sometime. And then I'm always like writing or like messing around, doing whatever. I don't know, just kind of as it comes. I sit down and just either it comes out or it doesn't.
And this last single, that is quite dark in its tone.
Is it?
In its tone it is. In its tone it is. But in terms of the subject matter, reading the stuff that I got through on it. So it's about memories or your memory?
There's several layers to it.
Yeah.
That's only one. When I write lyrics and have an idea for a song, it tends to just kind of come out of thin air. I don't know. It's like not like I don't really plan it out. I just start working on stuff and I start writing, and then it just kind of turns into its own entity. Yeah. And this song kind of turned into like aspects of it are about you create your own reality, and everyone has memories, and sometimes we paint things in a different light. So if we
do you mean a bit like, okay, if I might embellish something or remember something in a slightly different way over time, and I and I retell it in a slightly different way, and I might add something to it or subtract something to it, and eventually what the memory was is now a different memory from what it originally was. Yeah,
exactly. And there's studies on that, that people will change the truth a little or what they remember, and then they start to believe that because they're telling that story or thinking about that memory in their head so often. And I also think it kind of segues into like a bit of betrayal. Like when someone is potentially lying to you, sometimes they're not actually lying to you, they're lying to themselves first, because they're telling themselves these stories, or they've like fudged their memories in a certain way, and they don't realize what they're doing. You know what I mean?
And the extreme of that is like psychopathic behavior where you're
that
well,
too.
it is in a way where you can almost lie about everything. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I think people lie to themselves all the time about stuff to be avoidant or deal with situations and, you know, whatnot. But yeah, memories are a weird thing. So it just, the whole subject interested me, and the way that I started writing the song wasn't necessarily about that, but it kind of turned into that. And I feel like that's one of the layers of it. But my songs always have many different things to take away from it, and they connect with people on different subject levels. So I'm always hesitant, especially when like pitching a song and having, you know, someone's like, what's this song about? I'm always like, I don't know, like read the lyrics. How do you feel? Like what, you know, it's kind of like poetry to me, and it's very subjective.
Yeah, well, absolutely. And actually, when I read the lyrics, I and listening to it, I mean, I think that you could settle with different interpretation of it as you go along. So it's not a song where you go, oh, that is definitely this.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, good, because that's how I like it. I don't want anything to be like spoon fed, you know. I want people to have their own experiences. And,
but I did want to
feelings.
talk to you about this whole memory thing, because I thought it was quite interesting. Seeing as that was you know, put out there. So it was yeah, it's a very interesting thing. Now, one of the things that I get to talk about quite a lot in my day job, which kind of linked in with that, is authenticity, and, you know, being authentic. And I really struggle with that as a concept in a way, because these days it's one of the things that everybody says is you've got to be really authentic in order to, you know, be attracted to people online. You know, you've got to get that authenticity about. But at the same time, I'm quite aware that most people have an agenda. So I felt there were parallels there in terms of, of that. You know,
I understand.
How much do you think? Yeah, how much do you think people, you know, are authentic online?
I mean, I think it just depends. It's
Or is it
hard to
some
say.
of the people are that? Some of the people are some of the time.
Yeah, it's kind of like, you know, it's like saying sometimes like, oh, I don't like this person's online presence, but I like them in real life. Or, you know, there's just certain things, and you're really just curating something for your followers or your viewers or friends or whatever you want to call them. And I think that sometimes people need to like step back, and I think the authenticity, there's like a fine line, because like if you're on the internet and you're trying to like sell music or your podcast or whatever, you have to be like you have to kind of like play the game a little bit, and but you also want to be yourself. So it's kind of like dancing between these two and understanding that we're living in like essentially a simulated world online, like say Instagram or Twitter or whatnot, and people are only presenting like a part of themselves. And I think just recognizing that and being aware of it is a healthy way to be, and taking time away from any of these things that especially if you feel like you're just getting too involved. And a lot of the times I think it pulls us away as artists, like from our art, because there's so much like business, and I have to be in front of people all the time and constantly posting and this and that, but you don't really have to. And I think that's like all in our heads, because it's that instant gratification like humans have. You know, they want to like feel, you know, that everyone's with them along the way. But if you're an artist, generally your artists need alone time to be creative, you know?
Yeah. How do you find your alone time? What helps with that?
I lock myself in this room, except for
Yeah.
it's like very noisy out there.
Yeah.
I spend a lot of time staring out the window, just like looking at everything going on, because there's just always something insane happening
Are you a
outside.
people watcher? You're a people watcher? Do you like watching
Yeah,
people?
I enjoy it. I'm a bit of a voyeur, I like peek out the
Yeah.
window and I'm like looking across the street,
Mm.
and see in other people's houses.
Yeah.
But
Well, what gives
yeah.
what gives you inspiration for your lyrics in your songs? What
A lot of it is like films and movies,
is it?
and I think being outside, and one of the reasons I love living in New York is just having the energy of everything and access to see art and film and music and things like that, and to be able to walk around and just experience life in general. And that motivates me. But the inspiration comes from usually like reading films and like,
Any
works of
great
art and
films
things.
recently? Any great films you've been to see?
I have been wanting to go, but because of the numbers in New York, I've kind of just not gone to any theaters. So I've been reading a bit more.
Okay.
I'm reading this like horror novel. It's like a transgressive, pretty dark, but really good. And the vocabulary and just the way he paints words across the page is just insanely amazing. And
Well, that's good.
yeah.
For it's going to sound really crass and rubbish now. I mean, I've been to see a couple of films lately, but nothing highbrow or arty or anything like that. I went to see the latest Spider-Man the other day because the little ones in the house wanted to see it. And before that, I did go and see The Matrix, which was quite interesting. The new Matrix film was quite interesting.
I did watch the new Matrix.
All right. What did you make of it?
I think it was geared towards a specific audience for our current time. It made me want to go back and watch the originals, because I enjoyed those a lot. Yeah, the new one, I don't know. I feel like it was trying to do a lot of too many different things and kind of geared off course from its like main concept,
Okay,
like the origination of it. But it's a series of movies. So I just feel like at some point it's just time to like move on and do something different. And I just don't know.
Well, yeah, but I think that's, you see, because I think that's a part of the reading of the film, because I think I think it's very autobiographical as a film.
Yeah, I understand that. It just didn't connect to me, I guess, and that's fine. But I don't know. We just like live in this era of like we're just gonna repeat things over and over and over, and no one's doing anything like new. I don't feel like, or like maybe it's new, but it's just I don't know. It's just not there, for me,
I mean,
at least.
For me, there was kind of a, sorry to dwell on the film, but for me, there was a kind of message right at the end of the film where I felt Lana was kind of saying to us, that the director was kind of saying to us, look, I've done the Matrix now. I've done it. I don't have anything to prove as an artist, if you like. I don't have anything to prove, because I think there is a narrative running through the film about the tension between critics and art, or those that produce creatives. Yeah, that's a narrative that's in there, and I feel that like at the end there's almost that final scene, which I won't spoil for anyone that hasn't seen it, but I think there's almost a finger lifted up to critics to say, look, I've done it. I as a producer of films, director of films, don't have anything else to prove in terms of the Matrix. I'm now going to move on. This is it.
Yeah. But then why do that film though? Like,
yeah.
And that's just my opinion.
Well, I know. I think that's part of what comes out in the film was the kind of the tension and the struggle of should she go back and do it or shouldn't she go back and do it? Maybe that's it. Yeah. But I think there's something in there about, there's something in there about all art these days, which is that if it's in a way, if it's forced or anything creative, if it's forced out of you, or if it's done because you're under contract to do it, but it's not what you really want to be doing. Mm-hmm. Is it great? It's not.
Yeah.
In a way, that's actually not creative. Yeah.
Well, when you're hitting like Blockbuster status, I think that there becomes so many people involved that your original vision is probably never gonna make it through unless you are producing your own, paying for everything and just doing it all yourself.
Is that always a tension for someone like yourself as a musician and as an artist, that on the one hand you want people to listen to what you do and you want an audience for what you want to do, but in a way you don't want it to get to a point where you are so successful in doing what you're doing that then people expect you to do what you've just done again. Yeah,
expectations are a hard one for a lot of people. I think it's, again, finding a balance and not being afraid to just do what you want, because I think there's every time I write something, I'm like, wow, this is like the best thing I've ever done. And I think that's great that I'm able to progress in my talents, or at least what I think is like successful in my eyes. But then there comes this next, oh my God, am I ever going to be as good as that last thing that I did, Yeah. And so
are you immediately, this is quite an interesting one because I've talked to other musicians about this. Are you immediately, once you've done something though, and then it's kind of out there and you've lived with it for a bit, are you immediately then kind of self-critical of what you did do and think, actually, perhaps I could have done that better, and then you're longing to get on with the next thing, or are you okay with what you have done?
I tend to just move forward. I do something.
Right. Don't
and then
ever look that way. Always look that way.
Yeah, and it's not like, sometimes I'll go back and listen to old bands and I'll be like, why did I do that? But as far as my most recent stuff, I've been pretty happy, and I'm pretty good about editing what I put out there. As far as my art goes, sometimes I think about the creative decisions as far as visuals go. With my first release, Rose and Crown, I was really hesitant to put my face this big on the cover. But I wanted to force myself to do something uncomfortable, and so I just did it. And it got, it's got good response, but maybe that's one where I look back where I'm like, oh man, why did I set myself up to have my face on things,
Well, now for the cover shoot for the last song, you've definitely got your face in there.
Yeah, but it's not my face, giant face.
Well, I know, I was going to say, but you've actually used a filter or something, you've done something with your eyes, etc. Is that intentional in a way? Is that
the cover for A Cold War City? Oh, that was a Polaroid. It was just scanned. There was nothing
right.
Yeah, it just had it looked kind of weird, and some people were like, "Oh, this looks digitized," and I was like, "It's just a Polaroid scanned. I don't know how it looks
And it
digitized."
just worked
I
that
guess the
way.
scan, yeah, I guess the scan did it.
Yeah.
You know, I like made sure the colors worked for me, and then I did all the titles and such on there. But yeah, it was just a Polaroid.
Yeah. Would
I
you?
just thought the concept was better than like I could tell there's like stuff off in the picture, but I liked the concept of it, and I thought it was worth just going for it.
Yeah. Are you not? Would you say you're naturally an introvert then? If you're not wanting necessarily your face out there, or would you? Or are you an extrovert, or are you a ambivert? Are you both?
I feel like I'm both.
Yeah.
I definitely like to be alone, and I definitely have to recharge when I'm out, but I do like to go out. I think that's why I like living in a city, is because I know
Mm.
I have an option to go out when I feel like it, but I probably don't go out that often. But I like to be in the middle of, you know, just like the hustle of a city. And yeah, I know, I go through waves of like ups and downs. I mean, I lived in the forest, super isolated for 8 months, and almost like lost my marbles, and then came to New York, and I don't think I've been outside in like 4 or 5 days. So, you know, it's like, I think just having the option is like a
Oh
a
no,
biggie.
very definitely. I mean,
Yeah.
would you ever be tempted to do do a gorillas on us and have a, hide behind a sort of cartoon version of yourself?
I don't know.
It's an
Maybe
interesting
I
idea,
guess
isn't it? It's an interesting idea. Does that actually open up extra freedom if you actually at the front you project something else?
I'll like create a caricature of yourself.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think it helps, like as an artist, to have some sort of like persona that you are like a go-to that you're able to present, because people are not just always the same. Like we are emotional and moody. At least I am. I don't know. So like to be able to, like, when you are presenting yourself, to be able to be like, all right, I have to get in this headspace. And you know, like people, like a lot of people did it. David Bowie, Kate Bush does it, and just having like
Mm.
like uh, a go-to persona. Yeah, I don't
And I
know.
think there's a creative fun with that as well, that you can envelop a character for a while, and you can push the extremes of that character with it. It's not fully you. There's always an element of you in it.
Right.
I
I
mean,
mean,
I
it's the
think, but
same as your online presence. It's an element of you. It's what you want people to see, you know?
yeah,
And
but you can exaggerate some of the elements of it.
right.
You
And you can
know,
have fun with it. And I think that's part of being creative, is to experiment with these things and explore these sides of your personalities and see how they feel. Because I think it's like getting dressed up. When you wear a certain thing, you feel it makes you feel a certain way. So then maybe you act a certain way, and you have these certain characteristics that you start to exude. Or if you hang out with certain people, they pull out certain traits, you know, that
and
could
actually,
be
when you say
positive or
dressing up,
negative.
yeah, and when you say dressing up, actually dressing up. I mean, who doesn't love it when they're a kid? And you go to like a museum and they've got that box somewhere around the museum where you get to dress up in Victorian clothes, or you
Wait,
know.
where's this Victorian box in a museum? I need to go there.
Oh yeah, we've got loads of them over here. Yeah, yeah.
That sounds amazing.
There's a whole village um, further south from where I am in the southwest of England, called Morwellham Quay, and you can go there and you can there's a box, you can dress up, you can wear your Victorian outfit, and you can go round. It's got an old school, where you sit at a desk and people throw things at you. You go down a mine that, you know, and you experience what it used to be like as a child going down. It's brilliant.
That
You
sounds
should do
amazing.
it for a day. Do it for a day. Yeah, it's you know, I think get into, because I think actually trying to put yourself coming up a little bit out from yourself, and also to put yourself in other people, literally in other people's clothes and other people's shoes for a day, is really quite an interesting experience as well. There you go. So the single is out now.
It is,
came out in December, and that's available on Bandcamp. So go and get it, everybody. Pay money for it if you can.
I actually have a couple shirts left too, if anyone is in the market. I did a pre-sale, and I think I have like 4 left.
4 left.
Yeah.
Someone wants to buy me one, I'll wear it. So yeah, I love band t-shirts. So yeah, get the t-shirts, support Ammo that way. But the single's there to download. When are you hoping that you're going to get the album out? Have you set yourself a date on that yet, or not?
There's still a little bit of post-production that has to happen on some of the songs, so I'm not quite sure, and I'm self-releasing it as far as I know right now. We'll see. I'm working on getting a live show together, and hope to be doing that this year, and maybe setting up some tour dates and things like that. So
bring it to England if you can. You know, who
maybe
knows?
I do have some plans to go to Berlin. One of my old bandmates lives there, and I coerced her into playing bass if I do come.
Fantastic.
So I'm hoping
that sounds good.
Yeah, so at least maybe Berlin. I'll have to see what happens with COVID. I feel like you can make all the plans in the world, and they just, you know,
and obviously because you're disappointed with the fullness of the sound on Spotify, you'd really like ideally to get the album when it's complete out on vinyl as well, wouldn't you? If you can find someone to pay for that, and B, anyone that can actually produce it, because certain bands beginning with and artists beginning with A have actually, not yourself, have actually used up most of the vinyl. But
yeah, I know it's like a long wait list, but I have a workaround for that, and we'll see. We will see if I might do like a fundraising, or like if I can do a pre-order and I get enough sales, and I just break even just to put the order in, and then have some to sell after. That would, I was thinking about that. So we shall
I'll help you with the marketing. I'll help you with the marketing. I'll do it for
thank
free.
you.
Yeah.
Amazing.
You do the Kickstarter. I'll help you with the marketing. There we go.
Perfect. I love it. Thank you.
Yeah, exactly. Let's get that happening. That would be great.
All right. Goals 2022.
That's it. That's it. Ticked off that bucket list of 2022.
Yeah.
Emma, it's been an absolute pleasure talking to you again.
Thank you for having me back.
It's pleasure's all mine. I look forward to hearing your work that you've done in sometime in 2022. In the meanwhile, if people want to get it, A Cold War City is out now. Go to Bandcamp, order the t-shirt at the same time, folks, please. just order the t-shirt. This will make Ammo's day. If you have 4 t-shirts, that's all she's got left. I want all 4 gone by the end of the week, please.
I would love that.
Yeah, that would be great.
And then I can make more.
Then you can make more. Then you can do the next design. That's the way.
Yeah, exactly.
Keep it going. Thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you.
Take care. Bye for now.
Bye.